Okay, good afternoon, everybody. I'm going to call this meeting to order. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are in Treaty 1 territory in the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Marla Billinghurst. I'll be chairing the meeting this afternoon. To my immediate left is Mr. Maurice Therian, and to my far left is Mr. Marcel Lorendo. The assessor this afternoon is Ryan Valderrama. Thank you very much. And the secretary today is Kelsey Harrison. We will be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony, followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the Board order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are recorded and will be part of the public record. The first matter on this afternoon's docket is 1315 Gateway Road.
Would you like to swear in, or
Swear in.
could you please state your name?
Ryan Valderrama.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Swear in or affirm?
Swear in.
Could you please state your name?
Sid Story.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Thank you. Remind me not to leave
Mr. Valderrama, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First property that we're going to deal with has a file number of 19-4042. It has a roll number of 040071311000. It is located at 1315 Gateway Road. We're dealing with the roll year of 2020 using reference date of April 1st, 2018. The property is assessed in has split assessment totaling to $6,241,000. The first assessment is an institutional exempt, which is assessed at $5,330,000, and the second one is institutional taxable, which is assessed at $911,000. It has an effective year built of 2000, a zoning of residential mixed use, a land area of 281,827 square feet, and a planned area of 43,155 square feet. On page 3, some cost valuation. On the second part, which indicates land valuation, there are two. The first one has a classification of 4T and liability of tax or taxable T. It has a net area of 194,706 square feet and a net rate per square foot of $4.68, which is giving it $911,000 of land value. And the second land valuation has a classification of 4T and a liability of exempt. It has a net area of 87,121 square feet or net rate per square foot of $4.67, giving it a land value of $407,000. And under the building, there's a building on site. It is valued at $4,923,000. It is exempt under Municipal Assessment Act 22(1)(I), which is basically saying that it is a church. And then the land and building summary, we have on the first one, $911,000 for land only, which is 40 feet, and the second one, a total of $5,330,000 for 40 each. On page 4 is the map of the subject property where it is located. On page 5, some aerial photos of the subject property. And on page 6 are some land sale comparables. And there are 5 land sale comparables. They're all ranging, these are all for VRES 2 land sale comparables. The zoning varies, or all are at residential multi-family zoning. They're all ranging from $14.18 up to $14.64. On page 7 is the map of the comparable land sales for VRES 2. And I've also brought in some comparable land sales on page 8 for vacant industrial land sales. And they are all ranging from $7.02 up to $10.98. Just below it is the map of the comparable land sales for vacant industrial land. And that's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Story, do you have any questions for
Yes,
Mr.
just a couple of quick ones. Mr. Valderrama, this property was appealed last year, or last cycle.
I believe it is, Madam Chair.
And I don't know if it shows in your notes, but the city didn't make any presentation at the hearing, but it was subsequently appealed by the city to the municipal board. Are you aware of that?
Madam Chair, I wasn't at that hearing, and I'm not aware that
Okay.
of any particulars in that hearing.
Okay. Are you aware there's an appeal outstanding?
I'm sorry?
Are you aware there's an appeal outstanding at the municipal board?
I believe there is, Madam Chair.
Okay. And the value of this site is influenced by the zoning, is that correct? The residential multifamily zoning?
Yes, that's right, Madam Chair.
And are, I think that might be, those are all the questions I have.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Lorendo?
Looking at your map on page 5, where's the extra land? Is it within that purple box?
Oh, the top picture, sir?
Yeah,
If you go on the lower one,
yeah.
it's actually this part right here. By, let's see,
Parking
the
lot.
park.
The parking lot in there?
Yes, that's correct. And these ones right here, the ones that are not paved or concrete, these are removed from the assessment already. sir.
Yeah.
They're
My
which
next
from the
question,
assessment?
see?
Thank you.
There, well, I'm sorry,
They've
you're
been
right.
removed from the assessment already. The land that's not paved
Yeah.
is not falling into the assessment, is what he said.
Right. And just to follow up to that, you're aware there's a berm on the north side of the property?
I'm sorry, a what?
A berm?
A berm.
Yeah.
What's a berm? If you could just clarify.
A hill of dirt.
Mound of dirt.
Hill of dirt. Mound of
Hell of
dirt.
dirt. So it's right here, is that what it is?
And it can be developed. There's also the easement for the utilities over that. Are you aware of that?
Yes, as I mentioned, Mr. Lorendo, that one is
No.
not assessed.
Okay.
I got no further questions.
Oh,
Thank you, sir.
Let's pass this out.
do you have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, go ahead.
You used the 468
Yes, sir.
on the $294,000. Now, I'm looking at your comparables, and obviously they're for residential. It's between 1418 and 1464. Now, and also when I look at the picture, obviously, I don't know how you develop this to make the residential when the building is basically in the middle of the plot. So, how did you arrive at your 468? That's model driven, or what's the score on that?
Yes, the $4.68 or 67 cents, they are model driven, land rates, sir.
Land rates, but
That's right.
your there's also another comparison on sales that you had on page 8, which was between 702 and 1098. So you're trying to use both to justify your 468?
Yes, it only indicates that there are some vacant industrial sales also that's in that range where it's way higher compared to
Yeah.
a residential land rate.
Yeah, but would you agree that when there's a building in the middle of a plot like this, it makes development quite difficult for residential purposes? Would you agree with that, or you don't?
Well, there's a spot here where it can be developed. However, basing it on the act as well, on Municipal Assessment Act 22(1)(I), there's a limit in terms of the land that is being exempted.
Yeah, I'm
especially
aware of
when
that.
it's- Yes.
But I'm trying to see
Oh, yes.
how you can develop this, and so because you've got to have access, you're more limited in what you can't do much on each side, that's for sure, in my view. So I was trying to see, how possible is it to get, how can you maximize that piece of land for residential in the context of the building just about in the middle of it?
You could put something in here, multi-level residential, multifamily in here. At the back, if we're going towards Gateway, from Gateway, it's from the back here. It can be developed into something in residential that is also within the property. They don't have to subdivide it. And the parking may be here, and some parking spots might be assigned somewhere here for the church, or they can share the parking
So
spot.
there would have to be quite a gymnastics made here to make it work, but that's
Yes.
the point. Okay, that's all, Madam Chairman.
I got
Thank
one
you,
more.
sir.
Chairwoman,
I got
I'm
one,
sorry.
I got one more after
Madam
that.
Chair.
I got-
Go ahead.
Go ahead, sir.
On your page 6, under land information, what is that? It's got 281,000 square feet, and then, but it's got $1.36 a square foot, $1.11 a square foot. What is that information about there?
I'm sorry, which road here?
It's acreage.
Oh, this one is the acres. This one?
Yeah, but this
Those
is,
are acres.
that's acres or?
In terms of acres, yes. A land area in terms of acres and land area in terms of square footage.
Okay,
So it's converted into acres.
So you converted it into acres, okay.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I see.
So it's 6.4 acres.
Total, yes, sir. And then the excess land on that one is around 2 acres.
Around 2 acres of excess, and you're putting that at 911,000.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, I've got no further questions. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I have a follow-up if I may. I got my old eyes here. On page 5, Ryan, what is the street immediately north of the subject? It's one that's being closed off a bit pegless.
Springfield Road.
Springfield Road. Yeah. The question I have in follow-up, you indicated you're aware that there is no access to this property for development purposes. The road to the north, or to the south, is a private road owned by the Palliser Group?
Are you indicating the Lexington Park?
Yes,
Road?
yes, that's a private road. And also,
No, I'm not aware of it, that it is a privately owned.
and also, there's no access being allowed off of Springfield because Springfield is being closed, or maybe is closed already, for Pegless going through. Are you aware of that? There's no access to the property.
From Springfield, none. If we look at my page 5 bottom picture,
Yeah,
However, on Gateway, there are two access to the property.
Okay, what are they?
They're both on Gateway Road. The one is closer to Lexington Park, and the other one
Lexington
is
Park's
just
a
in the middle.
private, it's a private road.
No, I'm not on Lexington Park, but on Gateway here. There's a small little access here, and there's one in the middle of the lot.
Okay, thank you, I don't think so, but I'll accept that, thank you.
Shows it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, and I've given this hand, I'll just go through this quickly. This is a protracted story that's gone on since 2011, and we thought we had an approach
Sorry,
last site.
1 second. What?
He
You gave us this.
today.
No, you also have, this is the backup, I just passed it on.
Yeah, but for today.
Never get it.
It wasn't part of.
It wasn't.
We have 5 minutes.
Yes,
Yeah, but we can't
there's an
accept it
evidence
because you hadn't.
due date, I'm pretty sure.
Or this is not, why can't it be accepted? I'm just talking, well, I can tell you the story about the property, it's the same thing. This is just the
Okay.
chronological events to get us where we are today.
Just do a verbal one.
No, just good for me. Yes, this is a situation in September of 2011. The church decided to explore the possibility of building some senior housing, affordable senior housing, on the back part of the property. That was in 2011. In 2012, Planning, Property and Development recommended the rezoning of the property to allow that if the owner entered into a service agreement with the neighboring properties and had to do with access from the south and also the people on Springfield. There's another street in there too, other than Springfield. In February of 2012, the city and the owner signed a development agreement. In September of 2013, the bylaw 10-2013 was approved with the condition that the city of Winnipeg has executed the development agreement for servicing at the absolute discretion of city council and zoning registered in the city. Bottom line is it was approved, essentially approved. There was dissatisfaction in the congregation as to whether or not they actually wanted any development on their lands. So Ray Wan asked for an extension in 2014. It was granted. And in 2015, at 9:59 a.m., notice was given back to Angie Savage from the city's land development branch that the application for the change of zoning be withdrawn. And it wasn't. The confirmation was that Ms. Savage thought she had responded and registered it, but never got it. So what we did is we said, well, we have a dilemma. The property is not developable, is exempt because of the church. The church is in the middle of the property, which means you have very little, if any, development opportunity at all. So what we did, in concert with Mr. Dupuis last year, is we said, if you go to page 2 of this hand, oh, no, page 2. What we did is we agreed to an amount of $569,500 as the value per acre, or pardon me, the land value in total. And that's the 8.5 acres, less the 2 acre standard exemption for a church, and then a 2 acre additional easements, for 2 easements, the utility corridor going through and a berm, and it ended up at 4.5 acres. We valued it at $126,533, which was consistent with a church at 500 Lagimodier.
Can you give those numbers again, please?
Yeah, it's the amount that we agreed last year. The number would be $569,400. This is for the taxable portion,
Yeah.
Mr. Norman. And we arrived at that knowing that there were development difficulties. We arrived at that by using the amount used for 500 Lagimodier, which is $126,533. Didn't have any negative impacts. It was easily developed. And we did that, and the assessor agreed, attended at the hearing with me, we presented, And the assessor chose not to submit any evidence at the hearing, and all was well. And so basically, we thought that, and the church people who had had some conversations with planning and development and whatnot, were of the opinion that it would be handled, the value was, any material would be handled through the assessment. And I think more appropriately, they should back it, change the zoning downward. But, so that's how it was arrived at, 569. This year it came out at 911 or 9 and change. And we're asking that the board consider using the 569 once again until that municipal board appeal is finally settled, which is hopefully as soon as they get back to get this cycle of appeals finished. The last page I give are comparables, and the reason we put these in just to show that if it were zone development, mixed use, R1, general ag, they would be 50 to 60,000 an acre, not hundreds of thousands an acre. So the acreage is valued higher than one would expect because the application that never proceeded was made. And I should indicate, I might have, that the congregation actually had a referendum. It was that split as to whether they should do this housing at the back or not. And it was decided that the congregation that didn't want development was successful. So I'm asking the board to just hold the assessment from the previous cycle. The land cannot be developed. There's no intention to develop it. The city has the notification from Mr. Wan about it being withdrawn. So there's no merit, we think, in having the large, the double increase. It's doubled almost from 569 to 911. So I'd ask that the board consider maintaining the 208 amount of 569.
Mr. Assessor, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Yeah, just a few, Madam Chair. You mentioned that the previous assessment of the taxable component was 569,000, correct?
Yes, did you?
And that's an assessment of how many acres?
9.5 less 2. 2 for the exemption for the church.
7, about 7.
Yeah, the assessment on 500 Lajimodier, and this was actually provided to us by the assessment department as an approach. It's 900, its assessment, their assessment last year was $949,000. It's 500 Lajimodier Boulevard, and it has total acres of 9.5, less 2 is the exemption.
Sorry,
of
is
7.5.
that the subject property?
No,
No?
you asked
the
for
comparable.
Lajimodier, I think.
Yeah, I was just asking the size of
7.5 net of the
7.5.
exemption. Yeah.
Okay,
Yes.
and then it was further reduced because of some undevelopable land, correct? So it's a
Are you
rough-
done with subject now or the other?
the subject.
No, the subject was, it was just trying to be consistent with another church.
Right, yeah, that's
No,
correct.
we had the other was because it's actually not a berm, it's called a swale.
Mhm.
If it's topography, if you actually go there, it's,
So that's included in the 7 acres remaining on top of the 2 acres, or,
no, this is
Net
part of the
of
4.5 acres that are, it's 4.5, you take out 2 acres for the church exemption. The subject is 8.5 acres, right? 2 acres come out because
You
it's
said
got.
9.5 a minute ago.
Well, you asked about 500 Lajimodier.
no, I'm talking about the subject, sorry, if my question is
Yeah,
not clear, I
no, my
apologize.
question was, that
Madam
I
Chair.
asked that. Okay, the subject property is 8.5 acres.
8.5?
Yeah, 8.5 acres. We have this, that's why this handout,
Okay.
I think should have been allowed. It's not in evidence.
It's less,
eight
then
point-
less,
And the church is 2 acres, every church gets a 2-acre exemption.
correct?
In this case, the negotiated additional related to the easements, and the easements are to be able to get cars down the road and into the site, and the swale, and there's a big easement for the utility corridor. So it's 2 acres. So 4.5 was the net. We took 126,533, which is what the other church had been assessed at, And.
Say that again?
So 4.5 taxable.
Just a calculation sheet.
I'm just gonna confirm my numbers, because my numbers, it's indicating 4.47 for the taxable component of land.
Gateway. Yeah, we got 4.5.
So 4.47 is
Yeah,
pretty
yeah.
correct.
consistent.
And we use the amount of 126,533 per acre came from the assessment department for 500 Lajimodi, and we thought it was a good comparable.
And
And the reason, if you,
And
you
the
don't have it,
Lajim-
the reason I should tell you that presented the hearing last time was the final request is based on development influences, landlocked, unserviced land, major easement for the roadway, minor easement for the utility corridor, location of services, access and egress, and no traffic signals will be made available to the site because of the changes to Springfield because of picnics.
and
So we're asking it be just maintained. It's a church land, they're not gonna develop it, they probably can't develop it, they don't know how they would. Because just from highest and best use, I don't know. By the time you run the services, figure out how to get a road in there. There's also major opposition from the residences just to the north, who didn't want any development at all for fear that there'd be more traffic. Church, they can live with Sundays, but they didn't want more. So it's a difficult situation. I guess in a perfect world, the church would go back and ask the city to reverse the rezoning, and we'll suggest that to them.
My next question, Madam Chair, is on page 5 of the brief, of this brief that was submitted 2 weeks ago. Just to clarify, it's more for clarificatory, Madam Chair. So the location of the comparables here, land sale comparables, ESP, WSP. I
East
just
St.
wanted-
Paul and West
okay.
St. Paul.
They're not within the city, correct?
No, I don't think so, but they're close proximity. This is right at the north, almost at the north perimeter.
And for zoning, for number 1 development, what kind of zoning is development?
I don't know, I
just
did
wanted
the
to
search
clarify
of it,
this.
and all we found was development, so I think it's just mixed use. It must be.
Mixed use, industrial mixed use?
Yeah, and the
or-
reason this is in is to show that if it's zoned other than residential, it wouldn't have the same value. These are much lower values, and they're residential, or they will ultimately, I guess, be residential. But some of them are general ag, last two are general ag, they're the lowest.
They're not, are they the same zoning as the comparable, or as the subject?
I think they're probably very similar to what they would have been prior to the rezoning. After the rezoning, no.
Okay.
It's interesting, it's rezoned to do something that probably can't be done. It probably isn't economically viable, or even physically possible.
I think that's all the questions I have, Madam Chair. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Miranda?
So this 13.8, this property is 6.4 acres, is that correct? Or is this a different? What's the address on this one? 13?
1315.
Okay, so
Subject
1315.
We're talking about a subject now?
Yeah,
That's the
I'm trying-
subject
the
property.
subject.
The reason, sir, if you notice that it's 6.47 acres, when I convert the land area of 281,827 square feet, as I mentioned earlier, that there were some areas that were removed from the assessment due
Yeah.
to the consideration of,
So that's what you got it down to.
yes,
But you
6.47
You had
acres.
talked about 2 acres that is being assessed at the 911, correct?
And that's why I was trying to ask the question. I was trying, and I'm trying to correct myself on that one during my last, what do you call that, summation. But since the question was raised, I would like to raise that point that it should have been 4.47 for 911.
It was 4.
Sorry about that.
It was 4.
Yes, 4.47 acres.
And that's the taxable
That's
portion
the
that's left
taxable
over,
component,
correct?
correct.
And that's the number he used.
Yes,
But he used
4.5
He used
actually.
4.5.
Yes, which is close, yes.
But now, because you had priced it at what price per acre now?
203,803
Per acre.
per acre, yes, sir.
Okay, I think I've got it. it was your information, I was making his information.
Sorry about that, I
So,
apologize.
so you're both in agreement on 4.5 now, right?
Yes.
Are you in agreement?
On
Rounded,
four- No, on
rounded,
4.5.
4.47, 4.5, yes.
You're in
On the
agreement on
taxable,
that?
yes.
Okay.
That was what I wanted cleared up. I'm good.
Thank you, sir.
Well, it's a little confusing, all of this, but that's okay. But when the congregation doesn't want to go ahead with it, that makes it quite interesting. So all of this discussion is sort of, I mean, it's got nothing to do with the value of the land, if they don't want to develop it.
Oh, they have to pay taxes on this, on the
Yeah, I
higher
know, but,
assessment.
I mean, if their wish is not to develop
Yeah.
it,
Well,
I
it's
mean,
their
to me,
church,
it's
yes.
irrelevant. Now, you mentioned that there was, in all your comments, that there was no access,
Yes.
locked. Well, that's not what I read here on the page 5 of the city. I can, unless I'm dead wrong, there's 2 accesses, one is in the back here, okay, on Gateway. So why would you say it's landlocked?
There's 2 driveways there.
Yeah.
They have Mr. Defer has allowed them to use the,
No,
Private road.
I'm not talking about that.
2 on Gateway.
I'm talking about Gateway on the sketch here.
which page, 5?
City's page.
Sage's page 5. There's
Back up.
an access, because they gotta get into that church anyway. So there's one in the middle, and there's one in the back.
Yeah, but you've got to access the back property.
Yeah, well,
if
that's what it
where you're
is.
building the apartment building.
That's what it
Where-
is.
Okay, show me on the map where they're building this thing. Sid?
So I don't know what, I can't see where it's
It's on the
landlocked.
east side of the property.
Show me on the map. Maybe I'm confusing this property. You can-
Well, there's a lot of issues in it.
Come show me on the map, Sid. We'll let you walk up here.
I would think, I don't know,
I see.
not much of a contractor, but I think
But
here,
this-
that's where they probably go, behind, here.
Can you put it down so I
Well,
can?
no, you had it over here. We thought we were doing it here.
We had it in the big parking lot.
In the parking lot is what he said. He said, this is the land they rezoned.
Well, they rezoned the whole land.
No, hold on, yes.
They
Oh, the
rezoned
whole
land. That's the
But
point.
they were planning
So
on
where-
building it back here.
Wherever they can put it. I believe it's behind the church.
See? I mean, because there's access
They
here.
need parking.
Show us
There's
on the
access
bigger
here.
one.
Yeah, let's look at
Yeah,
the bigger
there's
one.
access here.
Look,
But there's access right here onto Gateway, onto their parking lot.
It's not Gateway there, is
sure it is.
Yeah, it is.
Sure it is. I got my
Labeled
glasses
Gateway.
on.
it?
That's how they get on the parking
It's
lot.
Gateway.
Okay. It appears that they have access there, but that was one of the big issues in the service agreement, is getting all the people in the area to agree for access and
Well, that's
egress.
the only
And I
access
mentioned, this
to-
was prepared 2 years ago, and the reference is access and egress, so.
But there's only 2 access to the entire property, and they're right there. There's none off of any other street.
And I agree with that statement,
Yeah.
sir. I agree that there's no other
No.
access, except for Gateway, which has
That's
to
good.
access.
Yeah,
One egress, one ingress.
yeah.
That's good.
So your main argument, Madam Chair, your main argument is that it's worth 126,533 per acre, like 500 Lagimodiere, versus the city's 203,803. That's your argument. That's what you want as a reduction.
Yes, we would
Is
like.
that correct?
Yes, yes. I guess in a nutshell, the value of, the land has challenges of development to start with. And if the zoning is giving the value to land that can't be developed because of the access and egress and berms and whatnot, but also the fact that right in the middle of the site is a church that takes away from that. So we're just asking that it be consistent with the previous year.
And this is being appealed by the city? at the
City, yes,
municipal board?
but the interesting thing is, we haven't been able to find out the reason that they did, because it was the city that suggested this would be an approach that would work, so we presented it. And there's no presentation of any evidence from the city, but all of a sudden it came, municipal board appeal was filed. So we don't know why, and Ryan might know, but I don't think so.
I know it is filed, and I just found out now that it was filed by us, so I don't know.
Oh, you didn't, okay, okay.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm done.
Sorry, it's a little messed up.
No, it's fine, I don't have any questions either at this point, so thank you very much.
Thank you, Kathy.
Okay.
So I'll email you today. Okay, thanks.
Madam Chair, then I'll just grab one.
Of course.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, Sid.
Thanks, Ed. Have a good
Madam
day.
Chair, get better.
Thank you.
Have a good one, Sid.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so my 5 minute. Said my 5 minute meeting is now over.
I told you.
We never know. So we're on 7:25.
Okay, the next matter on the docket is 725 Lashmodian Boulevard.
Could you please state your name? Would you like to swear in or? Do you affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Okay, Mr. Assessor, please proceed when you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The next property has a file number of 19-2477. It has a roll number of 0609-314-8500. It is located at 725 Lajimodier Boulevard. The property, again, is a split assessment. The first, we're dealing with the roll year of 2020 using reference date of April 1st, 2018. The total assessed value is $4,197,000. For the first assessment, it is classified as institutional property with a liability of exempt. The assessed valuation on that one is $2,649,000. The next one, the second one, is classified as institutional property taxable, and it is assessed at $1,548,000. The property type is a church, has 1 to 2 stories, and an effective years built of 1985 to 2012. It is zoned as various. It has parks, recreation, manufacturing, light manufacturing for that matter too. The land area is 414,290 square feet. The planned area is 30,880 square feet. And the gross floor area of 40,863 square feet. On page 3, some aerial photos of the subject property. And on page 5 is the cost valuation summary. Again, the land valuation, there are 2. The first one is classified as with a class and liability of 40E. It has a net area of 87,125 square feet with a land rate of $4.73 per square foot, giving it a land value of $412,000. The second land valuation is at 40B. It has a land area of 327,165 square feet and a net rate per square foot of $4.73, giving it land value of $1,548,000. On the building, there's a building that's valued at $2,237,000, which is which has a class code of 40, institutional, and a liability of exempt. And on page 6, we have some land sale comparables. The zoning on all of the comparables are M1, or light manufacturing. And they're all ranging from $3.63 up to $13.59. And on the bottom of page 6 is the map of those land sale comparables. And that's my presentation, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Mr. Rogers.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Actually, just a couple of questions. So, and to clarify, Madam Chair, for the benefit of the board, we're not disputing the exempt portion of the debate this afternoon. It really revolves around the land value for the taxable component.
Thank you.
733 La Jamodier, Mr. Valderrama, comparable number 2. So that's to the immediate north, actually, well, not immediate, there's a small strip of land in between, but it's within about 100 yards of the subject, correct?
Yes, correct.
And that one sold for $363 a square foot, correct?
Yes, back in May 2014.
Indeed, and it's very similar size to the subject, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Hyde Avenue, Oak Point Highway, those are in the northwest quadrant of the city, correct?
Yes, correct.
No proximity to the subject, if I'd suggest that, correct?
It's a bit far, yes, correct.
Okay. And Hamel Avenue, that is a much smaller parcel of 89,000, so it's roughly, call it 20% of the size of the subject?
Correct.
Okay. So the only comparable, and recognizing the dates range from 14 to 16, but the only comparable that bears a striking resemblance to the subject would be 733 La Jamodier, correct?
Correct.
Madam Chair, those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Loren.
So you're not using those as your example for the value, you're using a model, is that correct?
These comparables are more support to see if there are anything that's close to model-driven land rate.
And your model was giving you $4 and
73 cents per square foot.
do you have the examples that were used in the model?
There's a lot of them actually that was used in the model. However, these are the ones, land sales. These are land sales that are pretty close in terms, I find, some of them. I find in terms of land area, and I was hoping to have more or closer to the subject property, but I just found these ones.
And you've got the one that's close.
Yes, correct.
I mean, it's right
That's
next
back
door.
in 2014.
Yeah.
Yes, correct.
I've got no further questions.
Thank you, sir.
No questions.
No questions.
Thank
Okay.
you.
No questions.
Thank you, ma'am.
Please proceed with your
Thanks, Madam
presentation.
Chair. So I'm going to suggest actually there's an extremely high degree of consistency in truly comparable information that the assessors provided and that we're going to provide this afternoon. As a commentary to this board concerning the context in which we're looking at the property, if I could ask the board members and Mr. Boldram to turn to page 2, please, of our materials. That's a couple of aerial shots of the subject, and what I want the board and ask the board to keep in mind is we're going through some of the sale information. The church, of course, in looking at the bottom photograph that shows the boundaries of the subject property, and the church is the improvements that are clearly shown there. But what you've got was this exceptionally odd configuration. I'm not sure how this actually would have ever been developed in this way, but this is what it is. You've obviously got an exceptionally irregularly shaped parcel, and so when you look at the church on the site, and I don't know what the configuration of the previous site was, but I recall Mr. Therian sort of expressing concerns, and I'm going to suggest, and certainly is my theory of this matter, that there's, because of this highly irregular shape, there's extremely limited potential for any kind of development on the 7 acres or so acres that is taxable. And for that reason, and then considering Mr. Valderrama's one comparable that I'd suggest was truly comparable, and our information would suggest a rate of $3.50 per square foot for the taxable lands, taking all of that into consideration. So turning, then if I could ask the board members, Mr. Valderrama, to turn to page 4, please. And this is a listing of the, the sales that, that we have provided to this board. They range from a low, as you can see there, of $2.85 a square foot up to a high of $4.18 a foot. The sales are all sort of in the southern, southeast and southwest quadrant of the city. My search parameters I know didn't go as far back as 2014, which is why I don't have the La Jamodier Boulevard in there. I actually personally believe that's the best comparable for the subject given the size of that parcel. So in addition to that, we've got, as we go through this, Camille Cis, this is a red, and you'll see for the most part these are not irregular, these are rather typical rectangular shaped parcels. 600 Camille Cis sold for $4.18 a square foot for a much smaller parcel, about 120,000 square feet. Then turning to page 5, you've got a property on Mission Street that has significant frontage on Mission, as you see there, and it's sold for $4.03 a square foot. Turning then to page 6, you've got a property at the corner of Waverly and Street and New Boulevard. Again, mostly a rectangular shape that's sold at a rate of $3.70 per square foot. Then you've got 2 parcels, I believe, the next 2 indices are on LeMay Avenue, and they are actually immediately located to the immediate north of existing residential development, and those parcels sold, one on page 7 sold for $3.49 a square foot, and the one on the next page, page 8, sold for $2.85, a slightly less rate per square foot. So given those sale comparables, we're suggesting, and the area is not in dispute, the taxable area of 327,165 square feet. We're certainly suggesting, in the context of this case, and given the very limited development potential for the subject lands that are taxable because of the configuration, that $3.50 a square foot would be appropriate, which results in a taxable land value of $1,145,000. Now, I did take, after review of Mr. Valderrama's materials, I took the opportunity to run the same calculations using $3.63 a square foot. Again, the sale date, and Mr. Valderrama sort of indicated twice that the sale date was in May of 14. I suggest that, especially in the context of this parcel, the rates would not have gone up appreciably. So using the $3.63 per square foot rate, which I would also be comfortable with, that results in a value of $1,188,000 rounded. So anything in that range, it seems to me, based on the sales evidence that's been presented, would be appropriate. And we would ask the board's order accordingly. The primary request being a reduction in the taxable land component to $1,145,000, and in the alternative $1,188,000 for the reasons presented this afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Assessor, do you have any questions?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, just on page 4.
Yes.
I'm just
Sorry.
observing. No, I'm just reading through. I'm just noticing under parcel use code. The only 2 vacant industrial lands here are indices 1 and 2, correct?
I'm sorry, the only one?
Only vacant industrial parcel use code.
The top 2 are vacant industrial and zoned M2 and M3, and the others, well, I couldn't find information on Ravelston. The other 3 are zoned either A or RR5, and would represent, land that's capable of development, but would need to be rezoned. I wouldn't expect, so just along that line, Mr. Valderrama and Madam Chair, on page 6, the Lee Boulevard sale, for instance, that is at the corner of Waverly and Lee, and certainly that would be, I'd suggest, given the development out in that area, it's still zoned agricultural, but certainly would be a location that would be sort of ripe for residential development in the not too distant future. As would LeMay, it'd be north of existing residential development.
In terms of geographical proximity, this is the farther one compared to indices 1 and 2, correct?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And don't forget, Mr. Valderrama, the first 2 are regular shaped parcels, fully capable of development, and about a quarter the size of the subject.
Okay. That's all the questions I have, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Gilorendo?
So you don't think the value went up from that amount that the city had on that one before? Here's one.
The 363,
Yeah.
the reason I say that, Madam Chair, Mr. Lorendo, is because of the configuration of the subject. I have no evidence to present either for or against the time adjustment, but certainly if a parcel that is effectively within a stone's throw of the subject and is fully capable of development, it's got a sort of a triangular, the frontage on the ledge is sort of triangular, but it's the rest of it is a rectangular shape. So that parcel that's fully capable of development compared to ours where you have, if anything, spotty development. While I'm answering this, can I ask the board members to turn back to page 2? So if you've got spotty and very limited development, which would be to the west of the church and possibly at the very southeast corner, that land configuration doesn't lend itself to any increase whatsoever. So that's why I believe, based on the size and the characteristics of the subject, 363 makes a lot of sense.
But this property is serviced, is it not?
Yes, it is.
The services are all there.
Indeed.
Let's go to your comparables. Your number one comparable,
That's
that one
that's
is,
serviced on Camille
that one
says,
is
yeah.
serviced.
Yeah.
Your
Mission
one on
Street
Mission is
serviced.
serviced.
Yeah.
Your number three,
I'm gonna suggest no,
Yes.
but let me make sure first. Let's be very sure on it. No, not service.
not serviced.
And
Your number,
the main parcels are not service.
and not only do they have any access of any type?
They are, in fact, they are rearage.
They're what?
They're rearage.
Yeah, two.
So if you look at,
Okay, so let's go to the south of the property is residential, correct?
on LeMay, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. I'm going
So it's not really a LeMay property.
Well, it's rearage, yes.
It's actually on La Digue.
Yes,
Correct?
so there's a street that ends, that's right, and then the access would be, I'm assuming that's a road allowance, so if you
No,
look
it's not. It's owned by the foundation,
on page 7,
correct?
okay, so that's not a road allowance there?
On the end, no.
Yeah,
There's a house there.
there's a house in that corner, then it is landlocked indeed.
It's landlocked.
Yeah,
Yeah. Both those two properties are landlocked.
yeah,
If you look at the sequence, because in the corner you've got the school, and the far corner to the east, past the last one. Go that way. There's one more property beyond it, that way
Over here.
east, that's where there's a school,
okay,
and that school has the entrance to that,
to this parcel.
correct?
And therefore, and of course, this parcel would only have access through this one.
That's
as it-
correct.
As it stands.
They're,
right now.
they're right next to each other.
Yeah, yeah,
And there is no access, and there's no water, no sewer.
yeah, oh no, I knew it wasn't service, yeah, that,
So, no water, no sewer. What are the possibilities of development in that
I'm
part?
gonna suggest if I was a developer picking these up and given the proximity and given the proximity to the river, I would think that multi-family type of development or condo development would be most likely, but I don't know that. That would seem to me to be the most likely uses there. But then, of course, you are left with the rezoning, and you're left with everything that comes with it.
And trying to find access,
That's correct.
because it's private property on both
Yeah,
ends.
yeah, it would have to be through the schoolyard maybe.
Not enough room.
But if you're starting to talk about tearing down houses and stuff, that's a real problem in addition to the public opposition that presumably would happen.
So the best two you have, would probably the first two, Mission,
Mission and Camille Sis, regular shapes,
Yeah.
far smaller. So I'm just gonna suggest there'd have to be a serious downward adjustment for configuration and
Yeah.
for size, which brings me back to the 350 or in the alternative, 363.
well, the 403 from 615 Mission, that's at 403. And that was a 216 sale.
For 128,000 feet though. We're talking about not tiny, we're talking about 25% of size of the subject. And regular configuration as opposed to very irregular in this case. That's a key, and Madam Chair, that's a key consideration in all of this is the size and the configuration. Because don't forget, we're talking about, with the subject, we're talking about, get my numbers exactly right. We're talking about 300, sorry, not a quarter, a third of the size, we're talking about 327,000 feet with the subject. Of very irregularly shaped land.
Okay, no further questions.
Mr. Carrier?
Yes, so you're accepting the 363, if I understand.
That makes sense to me. indeed.
Okay. I just have a question here on your comparables on page 4.
Yes.
Which one is, I don't know if it's a proper question, but on the value, an R5 versus an M1 light, which ones normally would be more expensive or more value?
Our RR5 is a rural 5-acre minimum designation, so if you're talking about any kind of development, you've got to rezone everything. That's, when you look down there, the A and the RR5s, you'd have to have those rezoned.
So,
The M2 and M3,
yeah.
those, with that zoning in place, and with the, those are gonna generate, assuming you want an industrial use, those are gonna generate a higher degree of value than a parcel that's RR5, where you've gotta get it rezoned and
Yeah,
such.
because I was looking at your different, and the subject is an M1, I think.
Oh, yes, indeed, yeah, no, it's zoned in.
M1, light industrial,
Yeah.
I think.
So M2 and M3 are more intensive industrial uses, but M1 it's less intensive, but still an industrial use for, basic office warehouse kind of uses.
Okay, that's all, Madam Chair, thank you.
I have one question for you. Is there any requirement for churches for the number of parking spaces they need? Like, I know there are for strip malls and different things, do you know?
I didn't consider the question because I'm just taking the 2 acres as exempt now as being, even if they're using more than that, and actually with the size of these churches now, I'm guessing very strongly that they would, but the exemption doesn't apply beyond 2 acres by legislation. So I haven't even, if I understand where the question is going, if they're using more than this, then that would again remove more land area potentially from what would be capable of development, but because of the legislative requirement of 2 acres, I just wouldn't consider it.
Right, but I mean, if it would be impossible to develop because if they need to have
Well,
X amount of land, like
And so-
X amount of
yeah,
parking spots
and
per.
so you're right, and I guess here's the indicator. If I could ask the board and Mr. Bowler, I'm gonna turn to page 2, and the top photo, and then you can see that they've got, so you can sort of see in that photo, it's more clear with what's paved there, and they're using a whole lot more than the 2 acres. I mean, they are, but now whether they could compact it or make it more efficient, I don't know, but it's a good question.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, if I may ask a question.
Sure, okay, we can take a short break.
Thank you.
All right, we are reconvening.
I apologize for the long break, but
No problem.
Short and our meeting is
If
good.
you solve the problem, it's not a problem.
So are you ready to proceed? So the
Yes.
next matter on the docket is 1244 Mollard Road.
thank you, Madam Chair. Let me just read some pertinent information about the property. The property has a file number of 19-2464, a roll number of 05006030100. It is located at 1244 Mollard Road. There's a few assessment, classification and liability on this, and I'm just gonna go through them. The total assessed value on the property is $2,258,000. We're using the roll year, we're on the roll year of 2020 using reference date of April 1st, 2018. Madam Chair, there are 3 assessments on this, split assessments. The first one is an institutional property taxable, which is assessed at $746,000. The next one is a residential one taxable, which is assessed at $202,000, and the last one is institutional property exempt, which is assessed at $1,310,000. And as I think I'm just going to make a recommendation on this one, Madam Chair, if I may.
Okay.
Proceed. I think the contested or the argued one, or the main issue is the first split or assessment, which is $746,000.
That's exactly right. We do not debate the residential or the institutional exempt, so it's just dealing with that first 746,000 taxable assessment.
Okay.
And I am making a recommendation of 260, we're splitting it further, Madam Chair. So $261,000 giving it a code 30, class code 30, 30,
So it was 236?
261,
Oh, sorry.
261
Sorry,
even.
okay.
And then the remaining 40 market taxable, or 40 taxable, 40T would be $326,000.
326,000 even?
That's
So
correct, sir.
Code 30 is non-taxable?
The code 30 is still taxable. It's
It's
30
taxable.
farm, it's
30 farm.
yeah, yeah, it's farmland taxable, yeah.
What was the code for the 326?
I'm sorry, for the total,
326?
226 is 40 taxable, 40.
40?
40.
Still, it will remain as
It's
40.
the same.
Okay,
Yes.
same, okay.
Gene, do we need the amount of the split? Square footage, or the,
I think more on,
Happy to provide that if you'd like it, based on what we,
or will,
it's a joint recommendation. We
I know, but
agreed on.
are you
Oh,
gonna need, you're gonna need the numbers on how much you're splitting?
So, Mr. Chairman, or Madam Chair, I should say, the code 30 farm
Yeah.
area is 413,820
This one.
square feet.
Yeah?
And then the code 40 taxable, that's left over as far as land area, is 326,784 feet.
784. Okay. And your new number is?
I'll just quickly calculate that.
Roughly 2 million. You'll probably round it to 2 million.
$2,099,000.
Hmm?
We'll see what he comes up with.
2,099,000.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Carrie? 2,099,000 total?
I'll need my paper.
Oh, yes.
and I'll verify.
Yes.
It's all yours, Madam Chair.
Wait, Mr. Reimer to finish his calculation.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Just wait for confirmation on the
Yep.
total.
2,099,000?
Yep.
2,099,000.
Yes, indeed. That's, I agree.
2,099,000.
Indeed, yes.
Yes.
Just want to make sure.
Yes.
Okay, we're both in
We
agreement
are
on that?
in agreement.
Yes, we are. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you very
Get
much.
us nice.
Okay, and that concludes the docket this afternoon, so I'm
Sure.
going to close the hearing.
Well done, sir.
Thank you, you guys.